Okay, so before we start with the 8th chapter, so balikan lang natin how to get the taxable net income. So before, we have already tackled that in order for us to know how much will be the tax due, we have to get first the taxable net income. And to get the taxable net income, we have to determine how much is the gross income of the business, either if it is an individual or a corporation. Then we deduct all the allowed deductions permitted by tax laws. Okay? So, pag nakuha na natin yung taxable net income, ito na yung hinahanap natin dun sa tax table kung saan tinitingnan natin magkano yung magiging tax niya. So, before, we already had the topics regarding gross income. So, sabi natin, we have an income if there is a profit or gain, if it is actually or constructively received, and if it's not exempted or not subject to final income tax. So, pagka na-meet yung tatlong yan, ibig sabihin, ito na yung sinasabi natin na gross income subject to basic income tax. So, meron tayong tatlong klase ng exemptions. Una, yung mga sinasabi natin ng not income items. So, these are items that we actually or constructively receive, but there is no profit and gain. Hence, hindi nila namimit yung meaning ng income. So, these are the return of capital or premiums. We also have the gifts, bequests, and other things like legacies, devices, inheritance, no? Then, lastly, we have the compensation for injury and sickness. So, these three are items that we receive, but they are not subject to basic income tax because they are not really profit or gain. Next, we have the exempt items. So, we have 6 exempt items under the law. We have the receipts under GSIS, whether sobra pa yan sa binayad natin. So, let's say, for example, we paid 200,000. If we receive 400,000, generally, the 200,000 excess shall be subjected to tax. But if you receive it under GSIS and SSS program, so there will be no tax for the receipt. The next one, we have the USVA or the United States Veterans Administration. So, any benefits received from USVA is also not subject to tax. We also have exemption due to retirement benefits. So, sabi natin, para maging exempted itong retirement benefits natin, meron tayong kailangang ma-meet na tatlong bagay. First thing na kailangan nating ma-meet, dapat yung makaka-receive nito ay at least 50 years old. Then dapat, not just at least 50 years old, pero dapat yung company na magbibigay sa kanya nito, dapat ay 10 years yung nabigay niyang service. And then the third one, para maging exempted talaga ito ay once lang pwedeng exercise. So, let's say for example, nag-retire ng 50 years old, naka 15 years of service. So, yung ibibigay sa kanya ng private company, ayun ay not subject sa tax. But let's say for example, after retiring at 50 years old, tapos nagtrabaho ulit siya, let's say for example as an administrator or as a consultant, if let's say at 60 years old or 10 years after rendering 10 years service, nag-retire ulit siya, then yung makukuha niya na ay magiging taxable kasi it will be the second time na i-exercise niya yun. So, hindi na pwede. So, hindi na siya magiging tax exempt. Okay? Then, pagdating naman ng termination and separation, so this is the fifth exempt item. Sabi natin, there will only be exemption with regards to termination or separation pay if and only if it's not the fault of the employee kung bakit siya natanggal or bakit biglang nawalan siya ng trabaho. Let's say, for example, the business closed. So, anything na ma-receive niya from the business will be exempted from tax. Kasi hindi naman niya kasalanan na nag-close yung business. Or let's say, for example, na nag-work siya as division manager, then biglang hindi man nag-close yung buong business, kinlose yung buong division. So, kung hindi naman niya kasalanan kung magko-close yung division, so if ever na magkakaroon siya ng back pay or separation pay, that amount that the taxpayer will receive should not be subjected to tax. And then the last one will be any benefits received by either non-resident or resident from a foreign government agency. Okay? So, those are the things na hindi natin sinasama sa taxable net income natin or sa ating gross income because they are explicitly stated by the tax law na maging exempted. Then, the last exemption is the miscellaneous exempt items which we have already discussed under Chapter 4 or nasulat nyo naman na yun. Then, yung ating mga income subject to final income tax. So, there are, as far as I know, 11. Diba? Meron tayong 4 na interest. We have the EFCDS, the normal interest from bank deposits. Then, we have the, diba, EFCDS 15%, bank deposit 20%, yield, or from deposit substitutes and mutual funds, we have also 20%. And yung ating long-term deposits or interest from long-term investments na exempted from final income tax or subject sa 0%. Pero sabi nga natin, if it is pre-terminated, it will be either subjected to 5%, 12%, or 20%. So, meron na tayong 4. Yung ikalima natin and ika-6, meron tayong 2 klase ng royalty. The first royalty, yung sinasabi ko sa inyo na LBM, we have the royalty from literary books and musical compositions which is subject to 10%. Then, other royalties, we have 20%. So, 6 na. 7 and 8, we have prices. Pagka from Lotto, 10% and below exempted. 10%, 10,000 and below is exempted. 10,000 and above is taxable at 20%. Pag naman other winnings, ibig sabihin hindi nanggaling sa Lotto, so that is subject to 20% tax. Except that, kapag ang napanalunan mo ay 10,000 and below, so imbis na ma-exempt siya like Lotto, siya naman ay magiging subject sa basic income tax. So, ilan na naman tayo? 4, plus 2 royalty, 6, plus 2 winnings, 8. Then we have the 9 and the 10, yung nare-receive natin from our passive investments, like if we invested in shares. So, if we receive dividends from a domestic corporation, so that is subject to 10%. And if also we receive share in net income from ordinary partnership or joint venture, joint association, joint consortium, so that is also subject to 10%. Okay? Then the last one is the informer's reward, which is 10% of the revenue or 10% of or 1 million pesos, whichever is lower. So, those are the items which are not included as part of the gross income.